The Vietnam War was considered to be one of the most shameful battles ever fought by America. It left a deep wound on the nationalism and pride of Americans who were forced to fight in a war they did not believe was just and suffer the loss of a loved one or of their family. Even when the war ended, soldiers who fought in the Vietnam War were disregarded, unacknowledged, and insulted by their fellow citizens for their contributions and sacrifices. The Vietnam War forever changed the perspective of a war from a nationalistic pride to a political scheme, and many were forced to unwillingly die for their country.
During this war, many American soldiers went missing or died in battle, never to be seen or heard from again. A total of 58,220 Americans were lost in this shameful battle. Years later, the Vietnam Veterans Memorial, also known as the Wall, was built in order to honor their sacrifice. The monument asks the viewer to remember the people who dedicated themselves to our country and who ultimately died fighting in the Vietnam War. The memorial itself is relatively minimalistic, only a few walls without much decoration. It contains two massive 200-foot-long walls of black granite. The walls are engraved with the names of all 58,220 American soldiers who perished in the Vietnam War, organized in chronological order by date of death.
The monument is placed in a small decline in the soil, making it appear like a wound in the earth, reflecting the fact that the Vietnam War is regarded as one of the most regrettable chapters of American history. The monument makes you understand that the people who fought in the Vietnam War were once alive and people like us. It shows you that for every number, there was once an individual person who fought and died in the war. It is a sacred place filled with beauty and serenity to honor the fallen soldiers of America.
The Vietnam Veteran Memorial was designed by Maya Lin after she won a contest hosted by the VMF that would determine which design out of the many participants would be the one used for the Vietnam Veteran Memorial. However, this created some controversy as many didn't approve of Maya Lin's design for the memorial. Maya Lin's memorial would be dark in color, placed underground, and contain little to no ornamentation, which the opposition felt was not patriotic enough, that it did not show any American pride like other monuments, and that it was too gloomy without any vibrancy. This controversy ended in a compromise, with Lin's monument being built alongside a flagstaff and a statue situated near the entrance of the memorial. The statue was designed by the third-place winner of the competition, Frederick Hart. Both the statue and the flagstaff served to appease the opposition by making the memorial look more patriotic.
Since the monument is minimalistic in design, there's not many decorations around it. The only thing it contains are the 58,220 names inscribed on the two massive black granite walls, stretching 200 feet long. However, the memorial puts focus on these massive black walls, calling attention to the coloring that was used for the memorial, a black color, which can symbolize the loneliness and sorrow. These were things that the Vietnam War veterans felt on the battlefield and upon returning home.
Although this memorial is not inherently a metaphor, as it is a memorial, some people can interpret its design symbolically. For instance, the many names found on the monument could be represented as grief and loss for the families of the people and what the U.S. felt after their humiliating defeat. Additionally, the dark color chosen for the monument could be a metaphor for the dark times experienced during the time of the war.
An inscription at the top of the memorial reads, "In honor of the men and women of the armed forces of the U.S. who served in the Vietnam War, the names of those who gave their lives and of those who remained missing are inscribed in the order they were taken from us." The purpose of this inscription is to tell the reader the reason for the creation of the monument, that it was created to honor and remember the fallen soldiers of the Vietnam War. The inscription was made by Hermann Zapf, a prominent type designer and calligrapher, and its font sizes make it stand out as the first thing that you read when you see the memorial. The inscription describes the fallen soldiers as being taken from us, to instill a feeling of community with the fallen soldiers, to show that they were once a part of our communities. The inscription also uses repetition with the phrase of those to emphasize the significance of those who are being honored by the memorial.
After the Vietnam War, veterans were not given much, nor were they acknowledged for their sacrifice and devotion to the country. The monument appeals to those emotions of abandonment and unacknowledgement that Vietnam veterans had felt after the war. In order to do this, the monument is very humble and minimalistic, containing nothing that makes it stand out when compared to the two large and incredibly decorative monuments right next to it, the Lincoln Memorial and the Washington Monument. Another way the Vietnam Veteran Memorial evokes emotions in visitors is with its highly reflective black wall, which forces the viewer to see themselves next to the names of the fallen soldiers in order to evoke feelings of grief and remembrance. The Vietnam Veterans Memorial also incorporates some aspects of logos, appealing to the viewer's sense of logic by providing visitors with a logical understanding of the war's impact. The names being in chronological order allows the viewer to see patterns such as increasing numbers of casualties during certain periods of time. Finally, the memorial contains aspects of ethos due to it being created and designed by the accomplished architect and artist Maya Lin, whose design has been widely accepted as an incredible testament to her artistic brilliance. Here is an interview with a park ranger volunteer who held deep respect for the memorial and the veterans it represented.
I wanted to know what inspired you to come to the Vietnam War Memorial today.
If I may, first I want to correct you on the name of the memorial. It's actually not the Vietnam War Memorial, it's the Vietnam Veterans Memorial. So it's a memorial to all the men and women who served in Vietnam and those who lost their lives, but also to those others who served. So it's an important distinction. I don't know if America will correct you, but it's Vietnam veterans. It's a memorial to the veterans, yes, not the war. And that was important because when the veterans came home, they weren't treated very well. Anyway, I'm sorry.
Our next question is, we wanted to ask you, what feelings and emotions do you feel whenever you see a memorial to the veterans?
Me?
Yes.
I feel, personally, I feel a lot of respect and personally, I feel a certain amount of guilt for not having gone there myself. I was in at the time.
Do you want to go find yours?
I had friends who went and died. But, so this is my way to get back. I'm sorry.
It's okay. Okay, that leads into our next question, which you answered. But we would like to know, do you have a personal connection to the war in Vietnam? And
yes.
Could you please tell us about that?
Yeah, sure. So I had many friends who served and went to Vietnam. One who's on the wall here, others who still suffer from their experience. But so yeah, that's a personal connection. So I volunteer here to give back a little bit. Yeah,
Thank you.
it's very nice of you all to come and have interest in this.
And now for our last question. How do you think the Vietnam War has impacted your lives and the lives of other people?
Well, I think maybe one of the most important things to learn that we learned from the Vietnam War was the distinction between the war and the veteran, and that it's okay to hate the war, but not the warrior.
That was an important distinction that some people couldn't make. That was an important distinction that some people back at home couldn't seem to make.
You know, before Vietnam, everybody who came home, in effect, got a parade. You know, you were a hero. It was different.
The viewer's experience of the memorial can vary based on personal experience. Whether or not the Vietnam War has had any impact on their life or of their families is one of the determining factors when it comes to how the viewer would experience this memorial. Average viewers and tourists would experience grief for the fallen soldiers after seeing the overwhelming amount of names etched on the black granite walls. The Vietnam Veterans Memorial holds a great deal of reverence and respect for members of the community and those affected by the Vietnam War. It stands as one of the greatest symbols of honor and acknowledgement, recognizing the sacrifices of fallen soldiers and forever enshrining them in honor and respect.
At the time of its creation, the Vietnam Veterans Memorial had a somewhat effective impact on society. However, it was dulled by the controversy surrounding its unpatriotic visuals and gloomy atmosphere. Nevertheless, the Vietnam Veterans Memorial eventually captured the hearts of the public with its emotional impact and powerful symbolism, becoming a respected symbol of remembrance and honor.
Overall, the Vietnam Veterans Memorial stands as a symbol of courage, honor, and remembrance. It provides tribute to the fallen soldiers of the Vietnam War for their sacrifice and contribution to the well-being of the United States so that their noble commitment won't be forgotten.